After 13 seasons, 193 games, Jason Kelce will announce his retirement as an NFL player. His retirement from the Philadelphia Eagles. And that is a weighty thought when you allow your mind to drift back to 2011 when Jason Kelce was a 24-year-old out of the University of Cincinnati, when he was the 191st overall selection in the NFL draft by the Eagles. We bring in Barrett Brooks, who, unfortunately, you've been in this situation before in your life, my friend, and we're bringing a Cantonian career to a close. Your thoughts at this moment about what this will mean?
It's about standard of living. It's him understanding that, you can't play forever, even though he wants to play forever. He has a family. I mean, a big thing, his body, the preparation you have to do and put your body under to go into the next season. Those are the things he's thinking about. Relationships with his kids, relationship with his wife. Those are things that, they don't understand NFL players have to think about. And he's at a point now where he has nothing else to prove. He's done it all. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been all world for the past 10 years. So for him to think anything other than, all right, maybe I should hang him up, I mean, I'm going to say well done with a great career.
Yeah.
Well done.
Phenomenal career. Jason Kelce wore number 60 at the University of Cincinnati in an ironic twist. And, of course, number 60 for the Philadelphia Eagles is retired. It belongs to the late, great, the Iron Man himself, Chuck Bednarik. And Jason Kelce will no doubt send his number, 62, into retirement, playing the same position. Didn't play linebacker, but he did play center, and he's going to send that number into retirement as well, Barrett.
No question. Talking about, a guy that became a pillar, in Philadelphia sports. I mean, at this point, he could retire right now, and 2 years from now, 4 years from now, run for mayor. He's that iconic, not just as a guy on the field, but his speech. He's done everything you could do as a pro. It's time for him to start another chapter in his life, whatever he wants to do. Whether he's, going to be on TV or whatever, he's done just enough in his lifetime that, he didn't take another breath. He has been a great individual as far as a player, upstanding citizen, man of the people, great father, husband. He's done it all.
I think man of the people really resonates with everybody who would watch him play and also watch him, see him out in Philadelphia society, whether he was chugging a beer at the beach or
right.
he was having fun out at the bars or doing a charity work, which he does.
And no security guard with him. He's walking around just him. I mean, whatever he has on. He may have on overalls, no shirt. I mean, he's just one of those guys, a T-shirt, flip-flops, and it's snowing outside. That's just the guy he is. He's just one of those guys you can come up and really just come talk to him.
Yeah.
Very, very tangible as far as him reaching out and really being somebody that people can connect with.
We should have known, perhaps, that this day was going to come today on Monday because Jason's brother, himself an All-Pro, himself a Pro Bowler, Travis Kelce, is reigning Super Bowl champ, has been in town, got his haircut from Willis the Barber over the weekend, which is a legendary barber shop. And so he's here. He's not with Taylor Swift in Singapore. So you knew something had to be up, as I'm sure his wife Kylie, their 3 children, his parents Ed and Donna, and Travis Kelce all in attendance today at the NovaCare complex. And this has got to be, I would think, I don't know what it was like for you when you decided that you would no longer play NFL football, but it's a moment, isn't it?
It definitely is a moment. Jason Kelce has done everything that you can want as an NFL football player. It's not, it's time for him to go on. I mean, his family's here, perfect situation. And enough with everybody talking about, he's handcuffing the team. He's probably let them know way before this. They just wanted him to go out his own way, and that's going out with the respect that he deserves with the press conference. Us talking about him. Those are the type of things that he needed to settle down and figure out himself. They gave him ample opportunity to do it. He let them know, and now we're at this point, right after the combine.
Yeah, when he came here in 2011, he was a 6th-round pick, the 191st overall pick. You were a 2nd-round pick, for goodness sakes, and you were a great player. This guy's in the 6th round out of the University of Cincinnati. He's supposedly undersized. He supposedly might not have the tools to be a full-time, every down center for an NFL team, and here we are. What did it for him? What were some of the qualities that made him not just an everyday player, but a great player?
You know what? It's funny because when he first got to camp, and I went back and I did some research on him, watched film on him, and I saw how explosive he was. But I just thought he was undersized and not ready for the NFL. And when they finally announced that Jackson wasn't going to be starting, and that they were going to start this rookie, I'm like, are you crazy? He's going to get annihilated. He's going to get murdered. What do I know? He comes back, plays well, and I saw what they brought. I saw what he brought to the game. So definitely a great player.
Here is Jason Kelce walking into the media room, the theater here at the NovaCare complex, and he will address the assembly on his future in football.
Thanks for coming, guys. We'll see how long this lasts. Not a good start. There you go. There I lay. Oh, man. This is going to be long. There I lay, face up in the cool morning's dew-covered grass, waiting for a whistle I knew would come at any second. Knowing full well Anthony Harrell was a couple yards away on the ground waiting for the same. The foreign objects that rest upon my shoulders and head weighed me down and unbalanced my awaiting body. As the whistle blew, I arose, turned all in one motion, and ran at my teammate. It isn't even the collision I remember most, but the feeling before of what in the fuck is about to happen. How is it going to feel? Will I win? Whenever I smell the clippings of a freshly mowed grass, I am brought back to this day. I am brought back to this day. 12 years old. Roxborough Middle School, first day in pads. I've been asked many times, why did I choose football? what drew me to the game, and I never have an answer that gets it right. The best way I can explain it is what draws you to your favorite song, your favorite book. It's what it makes you feel. The seriousness of it, the intensity of it. Stepping on the field was the most alive and free I had ever felt. There was a visceral feeling with football unlike any other sport. The hairs on my arms would stand up. The hairs on my arms would stand up. I could hit somebody, run around like a crazed lunatic, and then get told, good job. I loved football, whether it was in my backyard with my brother, on the playground with my friends, or suiting up on Friday nights at Cleveland Heights High School. I loved everything about it. Although I hadn't met him yet, Jeff Stoutland often shares a quote his father would tell him. More often than not, the easy way is the wrong way. Football was hard, much harder than any sport I had ever played, physically and mentally. In most other sports, I was bigger, faster, stronger than everyone else. On the football field, those traits were matched. On the lacrosse field, I felt like LeBron James. On the football field, I was Billy Hoyle. I loved the challenge that football was. The joy of winning, the agony of defeat, the anxiety of the unknown, and the camaraderie of my teammates. I'd like to thank my high school football coaches, Mike Jones, Damian Creel, Kahari Hicks, and Gary Robolewski. Coach Robo, you know who you are. My hockey coaches, Kurt Gunther, Steve Bogus, and Eddie Babcox, and my lacrosse coaches, Felipe Quintana and Ben Beckman. I'd also like to thank my band teacher, Brett Baker. All of you taught me countless lessons and put up with a very young, rambunctious kid that was full of immaturity, stupidity, and cockiness. I would without question not be where I am today without your efforts with me and the countless other children you served in my brother and I's hometown, Cleveland Heights. From Cleveland Heights, I entered the University of Cincinnati as a walk-on. As a linebacker, I had no idea what to expect, but scenes from Rudy would often race in my mind. It became apparent immediately that walk-ons would have to fight harder for their opportunities than the rest of the team. I had no stars, no investment from the team or the coaches. I'd have to earn everything, and that's good because I had no clue what hard work was yet. Knowing that I had to earn my respect every day made me committed like never before. In my first college weightlifting session, graduate assistant Jordan Roth put me through the hardest weightlifting session I had ever been through. At the end of it, he said, if I could walk around the perimeter of the weight room holding my hands above my head, I could leave. And if I couldn't hold my hands above my head, I'd have to stay and clean the whole weight room. That entire year, I found out later that cleaning the weight room was something I would get used to. That entire year I consider a blessing. D'Antonio ran a tough program, the weight room was even tougher, and I redefined in my mind what working hard actually was. They pushed me into areas of fatigue I didn't know I had, and for that experience, I am forever grateful to all of them. After redshirting my first year, Mark D'Antonio left Cincinnati for Michigan State, and we hired up-and-coming head coach from Central Michigan, Brian Kelly. This turned out to be the biggest turning point in my career. Not because of Brian, he was great and we enjoyed tremendous success together, but because he brought with him strength coach Paul Longo. 2 weeks into winter workouts, Paul whispered to me in the middle of warm-ups, "You'd make a great center." I shrugged it off. Offensive line? Never in a million years did I think I'd play that position. Paul was different. As opposed to working guys into the ground, his motto was work smarter, not harder. His main goal was to improve us as athletes and make us stronger, faster, more explosive. He didn't care about anything else. Once during a conditioning drill, I saw a teammate struggling to keep up during a run, so I slowed down to encourage him. And he yelled at me. He said, "You run this exercise the best you can. Lead from the front. It's my job to take care of the back." Paul moved me to offensive line that spring. And it ended up being the single greatest move that ever happened to me as a football player. There are too many people to thank for my times at Cincinnati, so I'd like to limit it to coaches Paul Longo, Jeff Quinn, Brian Kelly, Mark D'Antonio, strength coaches Tim Swanger, Dave Andrews, Coach Kerry Combs, Coach Butch Jones, as well as athletic trainer Bob Mangine and orthopedic doctor Angelo Colosimo. Of course, all of my teammates and friends, university support staff, all of you made my time there something I wouldn't trade for the world. Some of the most enjoyable years of my life. After my senior year ended, it became apparent the NFL would be an opportunity, although few teams had interest in a lineman that weighed 280 pounds. Lucky for me, the Eagles had just hired Howard Mudd, a legendary coach who valued offensive linemen for their athleticism more than their size. Having watched and emulated Jeff Saturday in my own game, it all felt too perfect when the Eagles selected me in the 6th round. Immediately after being drafted, my agent, Jason Bernstein, said, "You have no idea how perfect this is. You are going to fit in great." Come on. You're going to fit in great in Philadelphia. This is your kind of town. "13 seasons in Philadelphia, and I look back on a career filled with ups and downs. I'd like to thank the 4 head coaches I played for, Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and Nick Sirianni. Consider myself lucky to have played for each of you. I'd like to thank Jeffrey Lurie for his dedication to building an organization that values its employees as people and gives them the resources necessary to thrive. I've only had one boss, so I don't know much to compare to. But Jeffrey always made it a point to show his appreciation and love for his players on and, more importantly, off the field. I'd like to thank Howie Roseman for drafting me and for always working hard to improve our team, even from the other side of the building that one year. Whether it be coaches, players, salary cap, or the numerous other things you control, you work tirelessly and calculatedly to improve this organization. I'd like to thank Big Dom DeSandro, truly the life force of this organization. No one gives more time and energy to this team. At the drop of a hat, Dom is by your side. My family and I give our sincerest thank yous for always treating us with dignity and assistance. There are so many teammates, coaches, support staff, trainers, equipment, cafeteria workers. You guys have no idea the amount of people in this building it takes to assist our players and me. I would like to thank you all by name, but we'd be here far too long for anyone to continue listening. So instead, I will share memories, if that's all right with you all. When I look back down the road, I'm sure there are things I will forget, but these are some of the things I'm sure I won't. I won't forget the call I got from Andy Reid on draft day and my father rushing into the room. With tears streaming down his face as his son's dreams had just been realized. It had just been announced on TV I had been drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. And I won't forget 2 years later, that same man and my brother receiving a call and him being drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. This time, the tears streaming down both my father and I's face, as my brother had just realized his own. I won't forget the first time I saw Jason Peters do a one-on-one pass set with Trent Cole, and being amazed at the speed, balance, and power I had just witnessed. It reminded me, or looked like, a grizzly bear wrestling a panther. It was so impressive it made me question if I was good enough to play in this league. I watched the next couple guys go and thought, okay, I can do this. I won't forget Thirsty Thursdays at 879, a bar owned by Brent Selleck and Todd Harrimans that stayed open a whole 6 months because nobody paid for a drink. Poor business practices indeed. That bar may have closed quickly, but the friendships it forged remain open to this day. I won't forget my second training camp, walking downstairs in my Lehigh dorm to paramedics rushing in, and Coach Dave Culley's look on his face. It made the expression like he had seen a ghost. A whole lot clearer. I asked if I could help, and he said, no, just go to practice. Come on. We would find out later at practice that Garrett Reed had passed away. Only a few hours after that, Andy addressed the team. It's the most intense moment I've ever shared with a group of men. And the outpouring of support and love for my friend and the Reed family at the funeral soon after was truly remarkable. I won't forget Chip Kelly's first game as Eagles head coach against the Washington Redskins. We ran close to 50 plays in the first half. We were so tired, but it didn't matter because they couldn't stop us. The NFL had never seen something like this before. I remember all of us thinking after that game, this is going to change the NFL. I won't forget walking out onto a snowless field before warm-ups against the Detroit Lions, and then walking out of the tunnel to a blizzard. The Lions in white jerseys blended into the snow so well I could not see the secondary of the defense. And the second half was all LaShawn McCoy. He somehow figured out a way to cut on a dime that day, and man, it was incredible to watch. It was probably the most fun game of football I've ever been in. It felt like we were all kids again that day, just playing in the backyard. I won't forget finding out in the 2017 Rams game that Carson Wentz had tore his ACL. The whole team had an uneasy feeling in the locker room, all of us questioning what this would mean, until Malcolm Jenkins addressed the team. He gave a very typical Malcolm speech, invoking confidence in who we were, and breaking it down with his patented, we all we got, we all we need. I won't forget Nick Foles having the game of his life on the biggest stage possible. And the biggest dick on the team going up to Doug Peterson and asking for the Philly special. And Doug Peterson having the biggest balls in the stadium to say, yeah, let's do it. And Brandon Graham finding a way to stop Tom Brady once, literally once. And the way the ball hung in the air on that last Hail Mary and how it felt like an eternity. Just looking, no sound registering, completely engulfed in the moment. When it finally landed, running onto the field, looking for a flag, anything that would mean it was over. We had done it. I won't forget the parade and what it meant to the city of Philadelphia, the joy it brought our community, and the closure it gave to so many. The stories from fans that had been waiting generations for that moment fulfilled that triumph to another level. On the route, I remember meeting a woman with ashes of a dead relative whom she had promised wouldn't miss the parade if the Eagles had ever won it. A speech that had written itself and one that had symbolized what we had all lived as players, as a team, and as a city. That wasn't my speech, it was Philadelphia's. I won't forget my mother becoming mom of the NFL, a representative for all moms out there who have sacrificed so much for their children. I won't forget Nick Sirianni sending me kegs of beer to convince me to keep playing these last few years. He knows the key to my heart. I won't forget making the playoffs in his first season, the Super Bowl in his next, and the immense heartbreak at the collapse of this last season. And although last season truly sucked, I wouldn't trade any of my time with you or those teams for the world. Everything happens for a reason, and I have truly enjoyed my time with you, Coach. Sometimes the flowers get knocked back a bit. But the roots remain. And I can't wait to watch what reblossoms this next season. I won't forget falling short to the Chiefs. This is where it's going to go off the rails. Nice, Brett. I won't forget falling short to the Chiefs and the conflicted feeling of immense heartbreak I had selfishly. For myself and for my teammates. And at the same time, the amount of pride I had that my brother had climbed the mountaintop once again. We have a small family. We have a small family. We have a small family. No cousins. One aunt, one uncle. It was really my brother and I our whole lives. We did almost everything together. Competed, fought, laughed, cried, and learned from each other. We invented games, imagined ourselves as star players of that time. We'd envision making the winning plays day after day on Kohler Ridge Road. We won countless Super Bowls in our minds before ever leaving the house. And when we weren't playing, we were at the other one's games, but seated in a lawn chair or a bench, a Capri Sun in our hand that Mom had packed, cheering during the game, and waiting outside afterward to celebrate a victory together or offer encouragement after a defeat. There is no chance I'd be here without the bond Travis and I share. It made me stronger, tougher, smarter, and taught me the values of cooperation, loyalty, patience, and understanding. It's only too poetic I found my career being fulfilled in the city of brotherly love. I knew that relationship all too well. Some people struggle to play in this city. They can't handle the booze, the media, or our fans. Consider it a great blessing to play in the most passionate sports town in America. The sense of urgency in this city to win has pushed our organization, has fueled it to take chances, fix problems, and work tirelessly in an effort to win. At times you hate it as an athlete, especially those new to our city. But when you've been through it enough, you learn to appreciate it. No one celebrates their own like the city of Philadelphia. Athletes become demigods in this city, even ones whose deeds span decades before. The Eagles are the #1 ticket in town, the most talked about thing at nearly every moment. With that amount of attention, you better be ready to overcome the lows that will happen and be ready to persevere in the face of the criticism. Yes, they will let you know when you are not performing well. Every time. But they will also love you if you show effort, aggression, desire, the will to fight. They will love you in this city if you love it the way you love your brother. You will be loved by going above and beyond to show that you care, because they care. They've been caring for generations in this town about this team, and they aren't about to accept a bunch of excuses and soft-ass nonsense representing the name on the front of the jersey, something they've invested their entire lives in. If you don't like what the fans and media are saying as a player, it's very easy. Love them, treat them like your brothers, and go out and play your balls off. Wear your heart on your sleeve, and I guarantee you change those narratives. I remember seeing Zach Ertz shy away from a block one game against Vontaze Burfict in the Cincinnati Bengals. Rightfully so, the fans ripped him apart, crushing him for doing it. The next week, the first catch I saw Zach Ertz snag, he ran after the catch like I had never seen. It took 3 guys to bring him down, and I heard the link erupt with cheers for his effort. Today, you won't find a single Philadelphian with a bad word to say about Zach Ertz and the legacy he left behind. As players, you write the narratives. The fans and media, for the most part, it's occasionally different, only write what you give them. If you go above and beyond in this city, you will be rewarded beyond your wildest dreams. I saw firsthand the wrath of the Eagles fans in the 2016 Eagles season. And rightfully so, I had an awful start to that season where I was often overpowered, had many holding penalties that cost our team, and looked like one of the worst centers in the league. I was wanted out of town by nearly everyone. And it wasn't just the fans that wanted me gone. It was nearly everyone in this organization. That offseason, I heard trade rumors galore and speculation I'd be cut. I imagine if the Eagles had received a trade offer for a brand new set of washing machines, they may have pulled the trigger. Hell, if I was in charge, I would have pulled the trigger. There's only one person in this building who still wanted me, and it's he who I have to thank most for the career I've had. And that's Jeff Stoutland. No one has been more influential or meaningful to my success on the field and my career than Stout. I think one of the greatest things a human being can give another is belief. This world, life, it can be hard. It can challenge yourself to points of self-doubt, and that is a dangerous place to be. Well, I am lucky. My whole life, I have been surrounded by people that have believed in me. My father, my mother, my brother, Paul Longo, Howard Mudd, and in my darkest hour as a Philadelphian, Stout was the one who believed in me. He was adamant my problems could be fixed with proper technique, fundamentals, and work. And work we did. That off-season and training camp, I focused on using my hands better, playing with leverage, proper footwork, and prepared with an edge to prove to myself that I was good enough. The following season, in 2017, I enjoyed the finest season of my 13-year career, not only as a player, but as a team. And it meant more because of the struggles and work we had been through. Without him, I doubt any of this would have been possible, or that I'd still be here. Since that offseason, I have amassed 6 All-Pros, 5 Pro Bowls, and am recognized by some as one of the best centers to ever play the game. I am very proud knowing where I once was and the legacy I have left behind, and the man we can all thank is Jeff Stoutland. Second Stout quote of the evening: "No man is an island. We must draw our strengths from others." I'd like to thank my teammates, my other brothers. Oh, how I've drawn my strengths from you all. I was fortunate to play with great players, some of the best this league has to offer. But it was really off the field, just sitting in the cafeteria with my teammates, breaking bread, and talking about life, that were some of the most meaningful times I spent in my career. The NFL is truly like no other place, and at the same time, represents America as a whole like no other. Fat offensive linemen from Cleveland play on the same field as skinny wide receivers from Louisiana and kickers from Chicago. Tight ends from Stanford play next to tackles from Kilgore Community College. Defensive ends from inner city Detroit play next to defensive tackles from Yazoo City, Mississippi. 6'9" Jordan Mailata plays the same sport as 4'8" Darren Sproles. The melting pot of geographic location, economic background, race, body type, personality, and athletic traits of an NFL locker room is truly remarkable. And we all rely on each other and respect one another and each of our differences because we know we're stronger together. I will always cherish this brotherhood, the relationships it fostered, and how unique an experience it has been to enjoy the field with you all. Coming to work every day with a group of men who were driven to be the best in the world at what they do is an environment that will surely be hard to replicate. I won't forget the Eagles Christmas party in 2014 and heading out afterwards with a bunch of my teammates to Buffalo Billiards, where my life would change forever. That night, I'd meet my future wife. I still remember the moment she walked through the door. The first instance is burned in my retina. It was like she glided through the opening, an aura around her. Then she started talking. And I thought, man, is this what love feels like? She was beautiful and smart, serious yet playful. I knew it right away. I think it's no coincidence I have enjoyed my best years of my career with Kylie by my side. Every accolade I have ever received has come with her in my life. She has brought the best out of me through love, devotion, support, honesty, intelligence, and of course, a swift kick in the ass from time to time. She has also given me 3 beautiful girls and a life that increasingly brings me more fulfillment off the field than it does on. We've had a great run, Kai. I am a product of my upbringing. I think one of the best things a person can be in this world is a father. A father who is present, loving, devoted just may be the greatest gift a child could ask for in our society. And I have a damn good one. My father believed in me more than anyone. He believed in my brother, and whenever my own insecurities would arise or self-doubt would come in, he would stifle them with the warm embrace of belief, unwavering love and belief. My father worked in the steel industry in Cleveland for the majority of his life. I remember him taking me into a plant one time and standing in awe of the molten steel and watching a giant ladle containing a bunch of it hover over our heads just feet away. The heat radiated when the molten steel was in sight. And I remember thinking how utterly amazing my father's work was. He was the man and continues to be the man and father I strive to be. My mother was a part of a generation of females that was largely the first of their families to go to college. When deciding to go to college, her own father said he disagreed with the idea. He telling her instead she should become a secretary or be a wife. In fact, the only thing that convinced him into letting her go to college was my grandmother's insistence that my mother would find an educated man to settle down with, and that would mean more money for the family. Mom took the opportunity to go to college and graduated from the Ohio University, worked in banking for over 40 years, climbing the corporate ladder from teller to a VP, and was largely the breadwinner for our family. I like to think I got my toughness, aggression, and lunch pail mentality from my father. And from my mother, I learned the all too important lesson of never letting anyone tell you what you can't do. And so this all brings us here to today, where I announce that I am retiring. Where I announce I'm retiring from the NFL after 13 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. And today, I must admit, I am officially overrated. Vastly overrated. But fuck, it took a lot of hard work and determination getting here. I have been the underdog my entire career, and I mean this when I say it. I wish I still was. Few things gave me more joy than proving someone wrong. My mother used to tell people, and still says to this day, if you want Jason to do something, all you have to do is tell him he can't. And that was true in more ways than I care to admit. I relish doubters. They fueled a fire within. I suspect that comes from an upbringing where my parents would tell me, Jason, you can be anything in this world you want to, as long as you put your mind to it and work hard to achieve it. So whenever I was faced with doubt in my career, be it from fans, from coaches, even from my own teammates, the American dream would burn from deep inside my bones. Which leads to my last Jeff Stoutland quote, "Hungry dogs run faster." Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Philadelphia. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for letting me represent this city and allowing me into your homes every Sunday. Growing up, it has truly been a privilege. You have all been so good to me and my family. Growing up in Cleveland, I watched all of my favorite athletes leave the city. Hell, a whole team left the city. It has always been a goal of mine to play my whole career in one city. And I couldn't have dreamt a better one and a better fit if I tried. I don't know what's next, but I look forward to the new challenges and opportunities that await. And I know that I carry with me the lessons from my time here, and that forever we shall all share the bond of being Philadelphians. That's all I got.
That's all you got. That's all you got. He gave us everything he's had for 13 seasons, and a huge hug for younger brother Travis, his mother Donna, who, as he said, his father Ed. There's Kylie standing up. There's not a dry eye in the house at the NovaCare complex. His wife, who, as he mentioned, he's so devoted to and so in love with, and that together they have 3 children, Kylie, Wyatt, Elliott, and Bennett. There's Howie Roseman in the background. Elliott Shore-Parks gets a hug. Zach Berman gets a hug and a handshake. All the media members who have covered his career. There's Jeff McLean from the Inquirer. He just shook Reuben Frank's hand.
Hug Reuben, too.
Yeah, hug Reuben. Big hug for Dave Zangaro. You know, they'll be talking about it on their Eagle Eye podcast upcoming. And Mike Sealski, everyone's getting a hug. Merrill Reese, the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, a sustained embrace. And it's like that when you say goodbye to a legend. And as we bring in Barrett Brooks, Barrett, when you look at this scene, you know, and you realize that this is it for Jason Kelce. He left it all on the field, and he left it all in the auditorium, because I've never seen a farewell media gathering as I have today.
Which is why he had this press conference. He wanted to leave his way, and this is the perfect way for him to depart the NFL as far as being a player. He'll still be involved. He'll do something. He's too much of an iconic player to leave this Eagles organization or to leave football. I mean, his speech just put it all in perspective.
Handshake for John Clark. He is not going to miss anybody in the room, whether he knows them or not. And you can bet that he knows almost every single person in this room. And another big hug. There's Jeff Stoutland right there with his hands in his pocket to the right. And he referenced Jeff throughout the news conference. And a big bear hug for his offensive line coach, who he said is responsible for turning his career around after a very poor, in his own words, 2016 season, and he had the finest season of his career in 2017, which just so happened to be the Eagles' Super Bowl season. There's the president of the club, Don Smolensky, gets a handshake as Jason Kelce makes his farewell throughout the auditorium. And it's a tough day. It is a tough day when you say goodbye. Dom DeSandro, right there, when you say goodbye to a hero, as he has been on the field and off the field. And he talked about how Jeffrey Lurie was so good to him off the field, more importantly,
Absolutely.
than on the field.
Absolutely.
And what he has done for this community off the field. This guy has been nothing more than an absolute mensch. Jason Kelce. He thanked everybody, Barrett. I mean, he started with his high school coach, Mike Jones, went to the assistant coaches, went to his lacrosse coach, even thanked his band teacher, Brett Baker from Cleveland Heights High School. And there's Travis Kelce with the shades on. And you got to be wearing shades if you're watching your brother say goodbye, because there's a lot of tears with that.
Right.
He talked about how the two of them did everything together. They were each other's biggest cheerleaders, each other's biggest competitors. They'd laugh, they'd fight, they'd go to each other's games. And it's tough now as Travis will carry the torch for the family, try to get the third straight Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs in the 24 season. And we knew something was up when Travis was spotted around town this weekend. And when you look at this scene, it's a special time. But I said before we started, Barrett, an indelible moment. We'll remember forever the way Jason Kelce played the game. But we'll also remember this. Remember Kelce's retirement ceremony?
Right. Well, he said at the end of the season, when he may have mentioned it to somebody and the media grasped hold of it, then national media said, oh, he's going to retire after this season. He just really didn't want the door to close like that. He wanted to have something like this. He didn't want a goodbye tour necessarily as far as him coming back to play. He just wanted everybody to know that, he's definitely appreciated everything he's accomplished, the people that help him accomplish those things. He thanked people, even Howard Mudd. Howard Mudd was a great coach back in Seattle, and he's the one that got Kevin Mawai, 6'4", 289-pound offensive center, get him to really play like Kelce. He built the foundation for Kelce as far as being a guy that pulls and blocks the second level and using their athleticism. And, he started that trait. So Howard Mudd was great, it seemed like everything fell into place for Kelce throughout his career. Kevin Mawai, how he played, and Howard Mudd, and then transitioned, to Stoutland, and Stoutland using his ability to really, play the way he played. And I'll tell you what, I think the guy that's going to really suffer the most, not just the Eagles players, but I think, Hurts not having him on the field he's really gonna have to come with it now, because having a guy like Kelce on the field helps you out in so many different ways. Not just calling the call, calling where the mic is, calling protections, but his understanding of what he needs to do out there on the field. There were times where he would call plays and remind him of plays that could work against these different sets, and Hurts would say, yeah, of course I'm gonna listen to him. He helped me be the player that I am. So. Yes, this is something that that's going to be big for this Eagles team to try to come in and replace him. There are guys there, Cam Jurgens, even Landon Dickerson can play center. So they have guys in place, but this is definitely going to affect how they go forward and how they're going to draft or free agency or whatever they're going to do for the interior of the offensive line.
We just came off the NFL Combine, and that's where teams take a look at players that they might draft in the coming draft next month. And it's no coincidence that Jason Kelce announces this today, because the free agent period is coming up March 11th, March 13th for signings officially, and then the draft at the end of April. And so, they need to get their ducks in a row,
right,
to make sure they know what they're doing. And we knew that Jason Kelce would not hold up this team. And certainly by today he has not. And he talked about everybody who has helped him, Barrett. And when you look at the final product that he became as a football player, he singled out Jeff Stoutland, he singled out Howard Mudd, he singled out Paul Owango at the University of Cincinnati, who said, he was the strength coach. He said, you know what? I think you make a great center. He was playing linebacker at the time, Jason Kelce. And he said, yeah, even at 288 pounds, you mentioned Kevin Mawai, that Jason Kelce would have the athleticism and the intellect to be able to play the position to a fairly well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and just think of people, what was big to me, he talked about his speech and how, the speech became iconic, and he said, that wasn't his speech. It was the city of Philadelphia's speech, and that's kind of, that's really what we do. It's he is the culmination of everything that's good and great, and also, the negativity that comes with playing a player here in Philadelphia. You got to have thick skin, but they'll love you like no other. This is the biggest sports town. Say what you want to say about Boston, L.A., Chicago. This is the best sports town to live in. This is the best fans base to be able to, play in front of. And and talk to them. You got to come with it. You know, I can't just say I just can't say anything up here because they'll call you on it. You got to research. You got to make sure you know what you know. So I love calling games here. I love the fact that we're in a city that really loves the team.
He talked about the 2016 season and the fact that he had really underperformed and that the fans had booed him mercilessly and deservedly so, he said, and he was ready to pack it in then. And it was Jeff Stoutland who said, you know what, we can fix some things in your technique. And what, in your recollection, what did he go by from that point forward to really come to play? Because that's when he made the majority, he made all his all-pro teams after that time, and he made the majority of his Pro Bowls as well. And you're talking about 7 more seasons left to play after that.
Absolutely. Well, he just learned. He went about handling his business, got in the weight room, got stronger, got better technique, and really made things happen.
Mm-hmm, he sure did. All right. We've got to go. We'll see you on Birds Huddle with Barrett Brooks coming up at 6 o'clock. Here is the best show ever, starting right now.